it. Okay.
Does the answer of x equal them added together? Oh.
That is the formula.
So I gave you this part, and I gave you this part. What is this part?
Hey, how did you give us the formula?
It's right there.
Oh.
Wait, hold on.
Is that the right answer?
We'll have to see.
It's the right answer.
I thought we didn't have to worry about constants. We didn't integrate it yet. I thought.
In our work, we say plus c for the end. You are right.
But there's still one.
Because that's just saying like, hey, it's an integral.
Oh.
Like it's fine.
Because v is technically plus c.
Okay, so what's our answer?
B.
B.
Oh my God, you're
This
so
would be
smart.
U. This would be dv. So if I want my uv, we would have to take x squared times sine of x.
Good work, guys.
Wait, is this allowed? I think this.
Is this?
Shortcut.
Yes.
You are still doing integration by
This.
part. So it is always allowed.
Wait, so what did you do?
Okay, Isabel set up her D and I columns to do the tabular method. You get to the same place.
That's
Okay.
except for derivative a lot smaller.
The tabular method won't help you though if you have like generic situations, okay? So it can't be an all the time thing. It really only helps you if you have a defined polynomial for your product, okay? All right, this is what I'm worried about.
Just tell me.
Yo, this is great.
E to the x, a nice function to differentiate and integrate. Sine of x, a nice function to differentiate and integrate. However, neither one of them are polynomial, and they're both cyclic in terms of their derivatives and integrals.
Cycle.
Cyclic? Like they have cycles?
They continue. They just grow.
They just keep going.
Yeah, they can't get small.
Like, I'm there.
Cycle.
9, I'm there.
I think
Okay.
5 people had to explain.
You said like the cycle, the cycle.
Simultaneously. Okay.
It's like, they're cyclic. What does that mean?
All right. So, first of all, since they're not polynomial, don't write this down. I just am going to demonstrate, okay? If you choose one of them to be D and one of them to be I, what's going to happen? Okay?
Oh my God. Oh, wow. That's.
Do you see the cycles? Do you see the cycles?
Cycle.
Okay. All right. This isn't going to work. Okay?
Oh.
So we're going to have to do our old-fashioned way. Okay?
Hi, Marina.
Okay. Really, it's not going to matter which one you pick for U and which one you pick for V. Or, excuse me, DV. Do you have a suggestion?
I would give that video.
Okay. You sure?
Well, I'd prefer. I think it's way easier to differentiate sine of x than integrate the sine of x.
I think they're both equally easy, so.
So let's take a vote. How many of you would like to pick e of x, e to the x for you?
I want to, but I don't want to agree with Chris. So.
Sine of x.
Boo! Boo!
Correct.
You're all boring and followers.
Bring us rolls.
I explained why I was following Nick.
Okay. If u is sine of x, then that makes du cosine of x dx. And if dv is e to the x dx, then v is e to the x. Okay. So we have the integral.
Wait, what if you Oh, it's the derivative. Why am I doing this wrong all the time?
You're not doing it wrong, you're just doing it right not.
Rightens.
I'm going to continue. So our integral is u times v minus v du.
Yes, something that we can easily integrate.
I feel like there's sarcasm in his voice. Why?
It's just the same. It's just gonna keep going.
And it keeps
Every
going.
end. Just say
Keep
Is it going to be cyclic, you ask?
Yeah.
Oh,
So you're telling me
sounds like
cyclic
this
things
is
go
what-
cyclically?
So now let's talk about this guy right here.
You.
We could pick cosine of x to be u, right, that's what we're saying,
I see what you're doing here.
and e to the x dx to be dv. Just be patient. Which means du is what?
The negative sine x. Dx.
Thank you. And v is e to the x. Ready for some excitement?
Yeah,
Not really, but
better do it again.
Okay, so we have e to the x sine of x minus the quantity. This that I underlined in blue becomes u times v minus the integral of v du.
we could just,
Hold on.
no,
Yes.
since you have in parentheses, would it be minus instead of plus?
Well, it will be eventually.
But it's supposed
It's not cyclical.
Based on
It's,
the formula.
it's supposed to be subtraction, but
Yeah.
since I had a negative sine of x dx right here, I went ahead and made it positive. Does everyone else see that?
Okay, I can.
This is subtraction, but since this is negative sine of x, I just put the negative out here. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of that parentheses. So the integral of e to the x sine of x dx equals e to the x sine of x minus e to the x cosine of x minus integral of e to the x sine of x. Oh my goodness, do we have to keep going?
Let's do it again, just to make sure.
Could make.
Hmm?
Wait, you could like add the e to the x sine of x over.
Wait a second. Oh.
We have like terms.
Yeah, we do.
No.
Aren't those the same thing?
Yeah, they are.
That's
So
true.
if I take this integral and I add it over here,
Divide by 2.
then we have two integral e to the x sine of x dx.
That's
Oh my god, that's so crazy.
Plus that's
That works nicely.
plus C.
Plus, yeah, I almost forgot that.
So then, the answer to our question, what is the integral of e to the x sine of x dx?
Wait, why is it plus C?
Well, it is an integral. And since it's a definite integral, we always have to have the plus c. We just haven't actually written it yet because usually we do it with that last integral, but then we moved it over to the other side. Okay. So we have 1/2 e to the x sine of x minus 1/2 e to the x cosine of x plus c.
Wow,
Isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool. That's alright.
Aren't you thankful that you don't have to keep going on that? I mean, yes, we had to do integration of we had to do integration by parts twice. However,
How do you make sure those always work like that?
well, it happens when you have those derivatives and integrals that have the pattern. So if e to the x is paired with sine of x or cosine of x, that's going to happen. Every time.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
So it'll always end up the same.
What do you mean by the same?
Like, so that you can move it over.
Yes. There will be the pattern to where you can combine the integrals together, yes. Yes.
So, is there like an equation where we're so remember you're supposed to go through it?
I would like you to go through it.
I feel like you could work out an equation.
It's probably more simple to do it, right?
85.
Oh, these- I'd like to point out that those don't just go away.
Okay, which means we cannot do what?
The tab.
This is not one we could do the tabular method with. We have radical x, which seems almost okay, but it's not polynomial. Polynomials have to have those natural numbers for their exponents. Okay, so this is not a polynomial times a function, so we cannot do the tabular method. Okay. Back up even further though, we always need to look at u substitution before we go straight into integration by parts, okay? Like number 14 from your homework last night. If you try to do that with integration by parts, it went really, really bad for you, okay? Because it was set up for u substitution, all right? Is this a u substitution problem?
I mean,
No.
if you try it hard enough.
Nice. I still don't think so.
Well, you
Okay.
just this whole thing freezing by parts.
And like we were saying, if we try to do the tabular method, x to the 1/2, okay, that is never going to get all the way to 0 because it's not polynomial, okay? Since this involves natural log, what do we have to choose for u? And so dv would be x to the 1/2 dx. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to complete this together with your neighbors. Could the phone be like maybe put away? Is that what you're doing? Is that the new iPhone?
It's not working.
What's it supposed
Huh?
to be doing?
It's not an iPhone.
I'm not.
It's like 9 plus.
It's not even yours.
We're waiting. It's like
Maybe Caleb doesn't have a pulse. That's why it's
how are we doing?
I like that video.
Maybe that was intentional and that's why she like made us do it on her own.
Can you do it twice?
So then you can, combine those. We X to the negative one.
Oh, okay.
And so then you can do normal.
Okay. It's the square root of x. So it's literally just 2/3 the first square root of x. It's 4 over 9. Which is like 3 halves.
This should be, yeah, I don't know if this is what you should have in your integral. So you have u times v minus, inside your integral should be what?
This and the derivative is natural.
What should be v d?
Oh.
So this is what should be with it
Actually,
instead of x.
Okay.
So we go diagonal and then together
Oh,
inside the integral. Okay.
what are we supposed to get a negative 1.5?
You're not.
Okay, because I got one.
Two-thirds times what's what's root of x? 2/3. Okay, 2/3 is 2/3 is 4 over 9. You seem like
Don't watch any kills. TikTok.
No.
Don't want you to show.
When did two-thirds become so?
Okay, so do you get 2/3 x to the 3/2 natural log of x minus
4/9.
x to the 3/2? Let's see.
Yep. That's exactly what I have changed.
Check your work with my work.
Good job.
And it looks like we have one more slide.
Let's wait for time. Okay, so it worked.
Shelley, do you have a question?
Wait,
Okay.
no, it's good.
Richard, do you have a question?
We're still thinking.
Okay, thinking's a good thing. It's how your brain grows strong.
Are you gonna be Billy Ray Cyrus for Halloween?
No.
Why not?
No, I need Blondie from the Dollar Trilogy.
From the what?
The Dollar Trilogy.
The dollar?
Trilogy. Yeah. You know,
Alright.
like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Are you good with this answer?
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Okay, this might be a dumb question, but I'm kind of drawing a blank here. For like UV on the right side of the arrow, why is it 2/3 x to 3/2 if u is radical x?
U is natural log of x. And V is 2/3 x to 3.
Oh yeah, that's. I don't know why this is happening today.
Can you see it all? Okay, I'm going to give you 60 seconds of silent thinking.
Hi.
You, yourself, think about this. Share your thinking with a neighbor.
6x squared is just
Yeah, because then Steve, you're right. Because the other one has to be. Yeah. Well, because the negative sign of x is like the first sign.
Oh, yeah.
Caleb,
Yes.
what's our answer?
B.
Benjamin, why?
Like based on the equation, I think it's safe to assume that 6x squared is just the derivative of whatever f of x is supposed to be. So if you take the antiderivative of that, you get f of
Okay,
x.
because this right here would have to be u dv, because this has to be the product of u times v, right? So we have, this has to be v. So if this is u, this is du times v. Therefore, it has to be that derivative. Good. Okay, so we have 15 minutes left in class. What I would like you to do is go ahead and start tonight's assignment. And then anything that you need to ask me from anything starting in 8.1, you can do at this time, since I'm not giving you a review.
Is like tonight's homework like a review, like a combination of everything?
I think tonight's homework is mainly just integration by parts. So you will really want to go back to your 8.1 homework and look at those different things that we did, like the integral that creates our arctangent, right? And when we divided polynomial the two so we could get an easier integral, or u substitution. Okay, you remember like those three that we did?
I feel like there's a lot of memorization of stuff.
Also,